Alright, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. All praise unto Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, Wahar Rakakadash. Double honors unto the apostles of Great Millstone. Honor she brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. So this is another sermon. Okay, back out here again for the grace and mercy of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Pretty much, you know, you got a lot of things happening within the world right now. You got these sanctions, recent sanctions between America and the United States. In fact, I can start with that. The book of James, the 5th chapter, okay? Because the scriptures talks about how pretty much in the last days, this thing of money, that was gonna be on a low level. Okay, you got a lot of people out there that are chasing the Federal Reserve notes. Okay, they're chasing pound sterling or whatever currency that you're using. All right, but there's gonna come a time when pretty much all them currencies ain't gonna mean jack. All right, there's gonna come a time when all of them currencies are gonna be well, you got to think of this economy that's getting ready to be crashed. All right, these elite banking families have set it up to where what all of these so-called economies are all joined together by way of what's known as the world reserve currency. Okay, but once that world reserve currency is destroyed, all right, through things like currency wars. Excuse me, let me clear up the camera a bit. Okay, sanctions and so on and so forth. All right, once that thing of the dollar is done away with, man, it's gonna be economic wars for a hell of a lot of people out here, man. Okay, it's gonna be economic wars for a whole bunch of people out here, and that's gonna bring about the time what's known as the time of Jacob's trouble, which I'm gonna get into after this scripture here. So it says here, it says, "Go to ye now, okay, go to now, ye rich men, and weep, and howl, for your miseries are come upon you. Your riches are corrupt, and your garments are moth-eaten." So all of this corruption that you have by way of debt and so on and so forth, the book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter comes to mind, which I'm calling up in the background. Right after you done had all of that, okay, you was always gonna have it to where what? All right, because it's game gotten by corruption. You was always gonna have it to where what? The Most High was gonna put everything in balance. The scripture says the unjust weight is unrighteousness with the Most High. So you got the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. Well, the Most High sees that, especially when it is with reference to the Israelites. When you check out the poorest people that you got up on the face of the planet, it's going to be always the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, the Israelites, all right, because the Most High set that curse upon them. They was going to be cursed in the field, okay, cursed in the basket, etc., etc., etc. But consequently, the Most High put it upon Esau to search out certain devious tactics, okay, to employ. And in employing them, he has it to where what? The Most High is going to put a great judgment upon him. Okay, the book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, the 6th verse, it says, "Shall not all of these take up a proverb against him, a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe unto him that increases that which is not his? Okay, how long to him that is laden with thick clay?" And that's basically the question that's on everybody's mind right now. How long is it going to be until Esau be taken out of this power seat? All right, here it is. He's increasing in every. He goes out there. He goes into Iraq, Iran. Okay, there, you know, between them and the Moabites, the Chinese. Okay, they split up Africa. You got a whole bunch of people talking about, you know, you're talking about how this, Britain's jacked up and America's jacked up. Why don't you go back to Africa? Well, Africa's basically got it to where what? It's being controlled by China. It's being controlled by the European forces, man. Okay, so you got it to where basically these two countries or these two nations between Edom and Moab, basically they're running everything that's on the planet Earth right now. Okay, so the judgment that's going to come upon Esau, you're going to have a certain portion of that's going to go upon Moab. But the point I'm saying is here, right? You got it to where a whole bunch of corruptions out here, money corruptions out here by way of Esau, where the Most High was going to have a certain amount of judgment come upon them. Now that's for the low level ones. When you go up on a certain higher level, you find out that the elite banking families, they're the ones that are orchestrating this thing that you know is an economic collapse that's coming about. The same thing happened with the 2008 crash. They orchestrated that. All right, and what they did, the fix that they did to so-called have the economy come back after the 2008 crash, well, you got the same instruments, which is supposed to be 10 years after now. You got the same things going on right now. Okay, you got the same problems and issues the people was having prior to the 2008 crash happening right now. Okay, so pretty soon money's gonna be worthless, man. And once money's worthless, they're gonna bring about that thing of the chip. Okay, spoken about within the book of Revelations, the 13th chapter. All right, so the book of Revelations, the 13th chapter, and this is the 16th verse, and it says, he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark on their right hand and in their foreheads, that they might not buy or sell, save that he hath the mark, and the name of the beast, okay, or the number of his name. All right, so pretty much like what it says here within the scriptures, within the book of James 5:1, it says, go ye now, you rich men, weep, and half of your miseries are come upon you. When you go to where the dollar and the pound and so on and so forth, all of these currencies are disintegrated, they're going to bring about the chip. So you got these so-called great investment bankers that are out there within China and so on and so forth, dudes that got money from day, okay? They're gonna be mourning when this thing pops off, man. Okay, they ain't gonna be too happy when they go to where what the economy is crashed. In fact, you had guys jumping out of a window, or when you had the so-called 2008 financial crash. Well, you're gonna have the same thing now when they bring about the chip. But also, what's gonna happen is after they tried to bring out the chip, the scripture talks about how the Most High was gonna destroy Babylon. Okay, so even though you go to where a whole bunch of people are gonna be complaining, okay, when the chip is brought about, because they're gonna lose a whole, major sectors of the business. You're gonna have what's known as the centralization of commodities. Okay, you're gonna have one company that's gonna be providing you with corn, and that's just gonna be it. Okay, you're gonna have one company that's gonna be providing you with your so-called entertainment. Okay, and that's just gonna be it. Okay, you got one company that's going to be providing you with your so-called medical needs. That's what they're bringing forth out there. You're going to have what's known as centralization of everything. And they're going to monitor everything. Okay? But even then, you was going to have certain people, that's what they're trying to bring in. Okay? But even then, you're going to have certain companies benefiting. But see, what's going to happen is when the Lord comes up on the scene, all right, all of that's going to be brought about. There's going to be an abrupt stop that's going to come about to that. Okay, the book of Revelations, the 18th chapter goes to show you that. Okay, Revelations 18. Okay, I'll start from the top. And one, it says, and after these I saw another angel come down from heaven, having a great power, and the earth was lit with his glory. So that was a vision that was seen, okay, by the John the Revelator. Okay, he had seen that particular vision. So it says there, and he cried with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and it has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, in the cage of every unclean bird. For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of our fornication. And one of the major doctrines, okay, which is where you get the wine. All right, the scripture talks about how woe unto him, okay, that giveth his neighbor drink, that he may drink and may be drunken. But that's not talking about drink. That's talking about them philosophies that they push out there. All right, because here it is. You got all kind of businesses out here that specialize in alcohol. It ain't talking about that. It's talking about how you go to where America is out there pushing what? They're pushing a thing of democracy. They're pushing a thing of central banks. That's a major thing that they're pushing out there within the world. All right, when you had it to where certain countries were basically where you have as a civil war. You check out some of the civil wars that happened within certain countries. It came about because they were trying to set up a central bank, okay, which is when you check out the central bank like a Federal Reserve or the Bank of England. Those are private entities, okay, that don't operate underneath the jurisdiction of that particular country, like the Federal Reserve. There ain't nothing federal about the Federal Reserve. That's a private corporation, okay. So when you had certain civil wars that had played out within certain countries, they did that because what? Because they did what was known as a thing called divide and conquer. They went in there, they funded certain groups, and when the revolution came about, they put their central bank up in that place, okay. But going back onto the point I was making here, that's all part of the wine. The democracy, the finance, and so on and so forth. Well, all of that's going to be put to an abrupt stop when the Lord comes back. Okay, so it says, for all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. The kings of the earth have committed fornications with her. That's why you have a thing called the world reserve currency. Okay, that's why you have a thing of, you got a whole bunch of people out there, all right, that feed into the so-called media machine that comes out of the United States, and they model their so-called countries after what they've seen on the media, man. That's why you go out there into China, or you go out there into Japan. Them women ain't adorned in the so-called garments of the ancient Japanese and the Chinese. They're dressed up like Esau, okay? You go out there in places within Africa. You go out this thing out there within Rwanda. There's a Netflix a documentary on it, Equal Pay. You know, check it out. It's pretty decent because they kind of come to a pretty noble point. You know, with these so-called TV shows, more times you find that they don't really come to a so-called you know, justifiable point, but they came to a pretty decent point halfway through the doc, and then they started, you know, obviously putting their BS in there. But what they said was, obviously you ain't gonna have no equal pay because you know, most of these women gonna be having children, okay? But see, you go out there into places like Rwanda and that, they follow even more traditional things. They had it to where maybe 10, 20 years ago, okay, you had it to where only men was allowed to open accounts, okay, was allowed to drive and so on and so forth. But now they're following the so-called ways of the West. And where do they get that from? They got it from the democracy that they're being led to believe is the way forward, man. And then soon you're gonna have it to where what? The kids are gonna be running all kind of crazy. Okay, the families are gonna be broken up. Okay, and you're gonna have to you're gonna have all kind of chaos, man. And that's all part of the wine that is pushed forth by America. Now let's see that within the book of Jeremiah, the 50th chapter, 51st chapter. Okay, Jeremiah 51, and let's start from the top. Jeremiah 51:1, it says, "Thus saith the Lord, behold, I'll raise up against Babylon and against that dwell in them, okay, a destroying wind." All right, and that destroying wind that goes into the ICBM nuclear missiles. I did a video on the destructive force of those ICBM nuclear missiles. Okay, that's gonna make that's gonna lay certain areas they're just gonna be wiped off of the map, man. Okay, certain areas of remember the scripture talks about how the Lord was gonna sweep, okay, Babylon with the besom of destruction. He was gonna sweep Edom with the besom of destruction. That lets me think about those ICBM nuclear missiles that they said they're gonna bring about, man. Okay, by way of this so-called World War III that's brewing between America and Russia. Okay, remember the scripture talks about how the head, okay, was basically America and the feet were like the feet of a bear. Okay, and that calls to remembrance of how the Russians see themselves. They call themselves the Russian bear. So they know that the feet is the end of the thing, man. Okay, you start from the head down to what? To the toes. So the end of this so-called empire was going to be what? The Russian bear. Okay, so that they was going to bring about the besom of destruction. They was going to sweep clean, okay, all of this abominable works that's within this place. Remember too, they're Edomites, so they're doing a certain amount of evils, okay. But check it out, the Mosai set it up that what? Part of it was going to be, this kingdom was going to be partly divided. Now, although they're both Edomites, instead of working cohesively, they're really working at odds with each other. And the Most High put that schism within them because going back onto the scriptures, it says, what? If Satan's house be divided up against himself, how is he going to stand? Because the Russians, they want to do one thing, but the United States was going to do another thing. And through that schism, you was going to have it to where what? The whole entirety of the world was going to be at odds with each other, and they was going to go out there into war, and what the Lord prophesied within the scriptures of the World War III was going to come to pass. Okay, so Jeremiah 51:1, it says, thus saith the Lord, behold, I'll raise up against Babylon, and against them that dwell therein, in the midst of them, that rise up against me a destroying wind. So the ICBM nuclear missiles, okay, they're gonna be that's gonna be like a destroying wind, man. Okay, they're saying it was when I did the video, okay, the show just a couple of nights ago, they're saying that what those missiles that they have now, they're 3,333 times more powerful than what they had with the H bomb. Sorry, with the A bomb that dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So you're talking about 3,000 rounded up, 3,500 times more powerful than what you had before. It's gonna be 3.5 times more land that's gonna be swept clean. Okay, that's gonna be 3.5 times more trees that's gonna be wiped off, man. Okay, that's gonna be 3.5 times more people that's gonna be taken out. But see, they ain't gonna just be dropping one. See, that was the end of the war. See, when you check out how World War I ended, you find out that the Hiroshima and Nagasaki was the end of World War II, if I remember my information correctly. But see how this war is going to start, it's going to start where it ended. Okay, with the nuclear missiles. That's why the scripture talks about how the elements was going to melt with a fervent heat, man. Okay, when you check out how the Lord... Nice one.
Yeah, respect.
Right.
So just show my face.
All right. Okay. So basically, when you check out when you check out when you check out what happened with the World War I, with the World War II, pretty much you find out that you find out that the end of World War II was what? Okay, was with the thing with Hiroshima when they dropped dropped Fat Boy and Little Man. Okay, if I remember the two instruments that they had dropped. But see how this thing is gonna start. It's gonna start how it ended. But now they got more advanced weaponry, and when they drop those so-called advanced weaponry, pretty much, man, it's just gonna go loose out here, man. Okay, everything is gonna be. The scripture says that what the sun was gonna be ashamed. It wasn't gonna have it to where it's gonna cause a light to shine. They might get to that scripture a little bit later on within the book of Isaiah, the 24th chapter. Okay, so continuing, Jeremiah 51:1, it says. Jeremiah 51:1, it says, "Behold, I'll raise up against Babylon, against them that dwell in them, okay, that rise up against me, a destroying wind." So that was, like I said, the besom of destruction the scripture speaks about. Okay, it says here, "And I will send unto Babylon famines." Okay, you all right there? Where are you guys from?
Oh, do you have a Bible?
Yeah, I'm into the Bible.
God bless you, brother.
Okay, man. What
You are
country you from?
From Romania.
Are you from? Oh, okay. Cephas, Bine? Bine. Okay, you know about the Bible?
Yes, I'm a believer.
Okay, that's
You are
good.
born again?
No, I'm an Israelite. So yeah, I am born again. Okay, we go to.
You go in the church here in
This is
York?
church. This is church. This is
Okay,
church.
where two of three it's
I
together.
gathered in the name of the Lord. The Lord is there. I know the scripture. I know the
God bless
scripture. Been there. You probably
So
you know
share
about.
the gospel to the people who know nothing.
Right.
So, God
Well, this is
coming
this,
in my life in the prison.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you're out now. So I was gonna say this. You know, within the Bible, you know about the Israelites within the Bible. Do you know about the Israelites?
No, I don't understand Israelites.
Okay, within the scriptures, within the Bible, there's God's chosen people.
God
This
chose,
is
yes.
God's chosen
Yeah,
people.
the 12 tribes. Yeah.
That's it. In fact, give me a second. 1 second. You got a channel,
Yes,
YouTube. You can get on YouTube,
My
right?
Bible I have here. Yes.
No. You can get on YouTube, right? We go. There's a channel in Romania. We do a channel in Romanian
What kind of denomination you are?
with the Israelites.
Israelite.
Israelite.
No, I am a Pentecostal. Thank you.
Okay, all right,
Thank you.
okay,
God
all right,
bless
man.
you.
Okay, all right, man. See that guy? He could have been. He probably an Israelite, you know. But if the Spirit works with him, maybe he goes on the YouTube, okay, and searches out the Israelites, and then he come across the brother's site, okay. So the second verse here, Jeremiah 51:2, it says, and I will send unto Babylon famines, and they shall fan her, and they shall empty her. So that's expounding upon the point that you had before, right? Okay, and they shall empty her for the day of trouble. In the day of trouble, they shall be against her round about. So pretty much, when you got this thing popping off, man, it ain't gonna be like you got all of these so-called treaties that they're gonna maintain out there. All right, you're gonna have it to where all of these nations they're gonna come up against America, man. Okay, they're gonna be against her round about. You got Russia is gonna be against her. You got China that's gonna be against her. Okay, you got all of these so-called countries that's gonna take the side of Russia that's gonna be against her. And also too, when you check out the scripture says that what the all them that are peace with thee have deceived thee. That's within the book of Obadiah. Matter of fact, if I go to that right quick, Obadiah. The first chapter, obviously. Okay, Obadiah 7, it says, all the men of that confederacy have deceived thee. All the men of that confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat that bread have led a wound underneath thee. There is none understanding in him. Okay, so you got these so-called peace treaties that they have maybe with Britain. Okay, in fact, I believe the scripture says that thy mother that bear thee shall despise thee, something to that effect. So you're gonna have it to where a whole bunch of people is gonna be against America, man. A whole bunch of people is gonna be against America. So we're gonna see when this thing pops off. You're gonna see, man. It's gonna be like the scripture talks about the deliverance out of Egypt was great, but it speaks about how the deliverance out of America is gonna be a great one, because you're gonna have nuclear fire and so on and so forth going up, and the Most High still was gonna deliver His elect. Okay, the scripture speaks about that within the book of Zechariah, the 13th chapter and the 8th verse, how He was gonna bring the third part through the fire. Okay, and he was talking about not only just the physical fire, which was ICBM nuclear missiles, but also to the metaphorical fire of adversity. Okay, which was that what the Most High was going to refine His men. Okay, He was going to refine His men within the furnace of adversity. Okay, so continuing here within the book of Jeremiah 51:3, it says, "And against him that bendeth the bow, let the bend his bow, and against him that lifteth the brigandine, okay, and spare ye not her young men, okay, destroy her utterly." That reminds me of Isaiah the 13th chapter, because the scripture talks about how when the Medes was going to come up against Babylon, which was metaphorical for what, or prophetic speech for what, for America and Russia. The scripture talks about how basically when the Russians are sending them their so-called men, or they're sending their so-called armament across, okay, to do that hurt, okay, to do that work, so to speak, okay, they ain't gonna be worried about okay, this is a young person, this is an old person, okay, they're just gonna be doing to work. Okay, they ain't gonna be sparing the young, the mate. No, they're just gonna be getting to work, man. See, those missiles, they don't discriminate. All right, them missiles, they ain't gonna discriminate. They're gonna get the wicked old people. All right, you got a whole bunch of people out there that go back onto slavery days. The Most High is savoring their so-called lives for what? For the judgment, man. Okay, the Most High is savoring their so-called sweet lives, sweet old lives, for the judgment the Most High, Yahweh Hashem Yahshua, is gonna bring upon them. You also got some young people out here. You got young, so-called young men that come across to the camp and so on and so forth, and all they can talk is scuffery. Well, guess what? The Most High was going to return. Remember, the scripture says that what? You ain't going to have it to where a man's going to speak, and especially speak against the man of the Lord, and he's just going to get away with it. The scripture talks about how that every idle word that a man speaks, that was going to return unto it. So you got people watching the videos on the